Charles Keating and the so-called Keating Five, 4 Democrats and John McCain. You write, I'm quoting you again. I would very much like to think that I have never been a man whose favor could be bought. From my earliest youth, I would have considered such a reputation to be the most shameful ignominy imaginable. Yet that is exactly how millions of Americans viewed me for a time that I will forever consider one of the worst experiences of my life. Close quote. Fill in the dots. Get us from the Keating scandal to your passionate embrace of campaign finance reform.
I was always in favor of campaign finance reform. I worked with former Senator David Boren on the issues, and I was always a reformer. I created the appearance of impropriety, as you just said, 5 senators meeting with regulators on behalf of a major contributor. I can't excuse it to you. I can tell you, I mean, I can't give you a good reason for it. I can give you lots of excuses and how I said I don't want any special favors for this guy and all that, but at the time, created the appearance of impropriety.
And at the time, it struck you as just the way things were done.
I was very uncomfortable with it. But
you were uncomfortable with it at the time?
Oh, yes, but I did it. Doesn't matter whether I was uncomfortable or not, I did it. And, but it was again, something that probably was reinforced in spades, and that is, it's not only what you do in politics, it's what you appear to do. So, like in campaign financing and big money donors, it's not only corruption, it's the appearance of corruption.
So you come out of that experience, and one of the thoughts you have is, doggone it, members of the Senate of the United States ought not to be put in a position like that.
Or put themselves in a position like that, yes.
All right, but those are 2 different arguments, Senator.
Yeah.
I mean, the first argument, the system ought not to put us in that position, does, with a trip and a leap, lead to campaign finance reform. But the second argument, that the senators ought not to put themselves into that position themselves, leads to saying, throw a bunch of those bums out and elect guys who don't behave that way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of conservatives will say, wait a minute, we didn't need campaign finance reform. We needed a little old-fashioned rectitude.
Well, I think that's true. But you see, I think the present system makes good people do bad things.
It does.
I think that when the pharmaceutical companies in this last election spent $20 million protecting, by giving ads under the name of United Seniors or something like that, that this particular congressman or senator was in favor of real good program for prescription drugs, when they opposed a bill that would make generic drugs more accessible, then those people are beholden to the pharmaceutical industry. Okay. And the pharmaceutical industry therefore has influence. When the following events take place, we have an amendment coming up, one by me and one by a Democrat, that says stock options should be expensed. A guy who contributed $760,000 to the Democratic Party picks up the phone and calls the Democrat majority leader and says, I don't want that to pass. McCain brings up the amendment. The amendment is blocked from being voted on. Then the Democrat brings up a similar amendment, and the Republican leadership blocks that amendment from ever being voted on. And everybody knows, when I say everybody, Alan Greenspan, Warren Buffett, and Paul Volcker believe that stock options ought to be treated as an expense. Whose interests were being served then? The rich guys in Silicon Valley? The guys like Larry Ellison that cashed in $734 million in stock options in 1 year while the stock went in the tank and they laid off people? Or was his interest served, or were the interests of the American people and his employees served?
You do a pretty good Theodore Roosevelt, Senator. You are pretty good at that. Let me propose another